My nursing bag hits the floor with a dull thud. I stand frozen on the basement steps, unable to process what I'm seeing. The twins' beds, dressers, and toy chests are arranged in a sad little cluster near the water heater. Their favorite stuffed animals, Milo's worn teddy and Tessa's purple unicorn, sit forlornly atop hastily made beds where cobwebs stretch across the ceiling corners above them. Mom? Dad? My voice echoes against the concrete walls. The washing machine hums in the background, a stark reminder that this space was never meant for children. The air smells of detergent and the unmistakable mustiness that no amount of dehumidifiers has ever fully eliminated. My mother appears at the top of the stairs, bouncing my sister's baby Caleb on her hip. Her face brightens at the sight of her grandson, then falls slightly when she notices me. "Oh, Celine, you're home early." She doesn't meet my eyes. "What is this?" I gesture to my children's belongings. "Why are Tessa and Milo's things down here?" Dad emerges behind her, arms crossed. "We needed to make some changes. Autumn needs a proper office space for her remote work, and Caleb deserves a real nursery." A real nursery? The words feel like stones in my mouth. As opposed to what, a fake one? The twins had real bedrooms upstairs. Mom sighs, the sound familiar from my childhood disappointment wrapped in exasperation. "Celine, don't be difficult. Autumn's situation is different. She needs stability right now, and Caleb is at a critical developmental stage. And my children aren't?" My hands begin to shake. "The twins should be grateful they have a roof over their head at all," Mom says, bouncing Caleb higher as he fusses. "Many children have less." The memory of moving back home 3 months ago flashes through my mind. The divorce papers still warm from the printer, the twins quiet in the back seat as I explained we'd be staying with Grandma and Grandpa, just for a little while. I'd swallowed my pride, agreed to contribute to household expenses, even though this was supposedly my childhood home, my safety net. Then Autumn arrived with newborn Caleb, her marriage crumbling just like mine had. But unlike me, she was welcomed with open arms and endless accommodation. The cooing over Caleb never stopped. The twins were scolded for playing too loudly, for laughing during Caleb's nap time, for existing in ways that might disturb the precious baby. "You had no right to move their things without asking me," I say, my voice steadier than I feel. "They're my children." "Celine," Dad's voice takes on that authoritative tone I've heard all my life. "Your sister's career and Caleb's development are critical right now. The basement is perfectly adequate." "Adequate?" I climb 2 steps until we're nearly eye level. "It's damp down here. Milo has asthma." "You're overreacting," Dad says. "As usual." "Autumn needed the space more," Mom adds. "She's trying to build a future for Caleb." And there it is, the truth I've always known but never wanted to face. My children matter less. They always have. I reach for my phone, my hands no longer trembling. My colleague Brenda mentioned last week that her mother-in-law's rental cottage was vacant. Emergency housing only, she'd said with a sympathetic smile after overhearing me vent to another nurse about sharing a house with my sister and her baby. "What are you doing?" Mom asks, frowning at my phone. "Making other arrangements." The text to Brenda is simple. "Is that emergency housing still available?" "Don't be ridiculous," Dad scoffs. "Where would you go on a nurse's salary? You need us." Mom shifts Caleb to her other hip. "Autumn is family too, Celine. You can't expect us to treat her differently just because you were here first." "This isn't about who was here first," I say, walking back down to gather Tessa's clarinet case that's been haphazardly placed near a pipe. "This is about respect. My children deserve better than a basement." My sister appears at the top of the stairs, her expression a mixture of guilt and defiance. "The twins will adjust," she says. "Kids are resilient." "Convenient how that only applies to my children," I reply, brushing dust from the clarinet case. "You're overreacting," Mom says, the familiar refrain. "The basement is perfectly fine. We're doing you a favor letting you stay here at all." A favor. As if I haven't been buying groceries, paying utilities, taking night shifts, so I can watch Caleb during the day while Autumn focuses on her mental health. My phone buzzes with Brenda's response. "Available immediately. Call me." Standing in this damp basement, surrounded by my children's displaced lives, I finally see what I've been denying for months, years, really. My parents have always seen my twins as less worthy, less important than my sister's child. And by staying, I'm teaching Tessa and Milo to accept this treatment, to believe they deserve less. I'll be upstairs when the twins get home from school. I say, my voice calm. "We'll need to talk about this then." But as I climb the stairs, past my silent family, I already know what needs to happen. My children deserve windows, warmth, and respect, and I'm the only one who can ensure they get it. I can't sleep. The basement ceiling creaks with every footstep above, a constant reminder of where my children now rest. Milo finally stopped coughing an hour ago, his small body curled protectively around his teddy bear. Tessa pretended not to mind, arranging her unicorn collection on the cold cement ledge beside her bed, but I caught her wiping tears when she thought I wasn't looking. After tucking them in, I head upstairs for a glass of water, my nursing instincts on high alert. The house is quiet except for the hum of the refrigerator and the soft glow from Autumn's laptop on the kitchen counter. She must have left it open when she went to feed Caleb. I'm about to turn away when a message notification pops up. My sister's name appears beside a string of blue text bubbles. I shouldn't look. But something pulls me forward, the same instinct that makes me check a patient's chart twice when something feels off. Mom said we can just put them in the basement. Autumn's message reads, dated 3 weeks ago. Celine works so much she'll barely notice, and the twins are used to making do. My hand flies to my mouth, stifling a gasp. The timestamps reveal weeks of messages, planning sessions about my children's relocation while I work double shifts. Autumn's friend responds with laughing emojis. Your sister is such a doormat. The words blur as tears threaten, but I blink them back. This wasn't an impulsive decision made today. It was calculated, discussed, planned while I cooked their meals, and watched Caleb on my days off. I hear Caleb's cries from upstairs, followed by my mother's soothing voice, then footsteps on the stairs. I quickly step away from the laptop, my back to the kitchen entrance as I fill my water glass with trembling hands. Oh, you're still up. Autumn's voice carries no guilt, no recognition of what they've done. Mom's got Caleb. He's teething. I know. My voice sounds strange even to my own ears. I've been giving him teething tablets during my shifts with him. Later, after the twins are asleep in their basement beds, I find myself seated across from my parents and sister at the kitchen table. The house is quiet, Autumn gently rocking Caleb against her shoulder. They sit together, a united front. I stand, arms crossed, unable to settle into this tableau of family harmony. The basement arrangement is temporary. Dad says, not meeting my eyes. Until we figure out something more permanent. What does that mean exactly? I ask, keeping my voice level. Mom adjusts Caleb's blanket. Well, since Autumn's planning to stay indefinitely, we need to consider the long-term needs of everyone. Indefinitely? The word hangs between us. My therapist says stability is crucial right now, Autumn adds, her free hand reaching for the mug of tea. Mom prepared for her. Caleb needs consistency. And what about my children's stability? The question comes out sharper than intended. Dad's shoulders stiffen. Don't be dramatic, Celine. It's a roof over their heads. A roof I help pay for, I remind him. My contribution covers more than a third of the monthly expenses. A look passes between my parents that raises the hair on my arms. About those contributions, Mom begins, her voice taking on that placating tone I know too well. We've been thinking it makes more sense to pool all resources. Autumn needs help with Caleb's expenses, and since you're already established in your career. The realization hits like a punch. You've been giving my money to Autumn? Not all of it, Dad counters quickly, just helping her get back on her feet. While my children sleep in a basement. I press my palms flat against the table to steady myself. If you're that unhappy with the arrangement, Dad says with a dismissive wave, you could pitch a tent in the yard. At least the twins would have windows then. His cruel joke hangs in the air. No one laughs. Even Autumn looks uncomfortable, though she says nothing in my defense. Over the next few days, the consequences of our new living arrangement become painfully clear. Tessa's clarinet practice, once encouraged in this house, is now too disruptive for Caleb's nap schedule. She's forbidden from playing inside at all. Maybe next year you can try a quieter instrument, Mom suggests, as if her passion for music is merely a passing phase to be redirected. Milo, my usually talkative son, grows quieter each day. He speaks only when spoken to at dinner, his eyes downcast. When I ask him about school, he shrugs instead of launching into his typical animated stories about science class. He's just adjusting. Dad says when I mention my concern, kids are resilient. That night, after checking that the twins are asleep, I find Milo's inhaler usage log. He's been using it twice as often since moving to the basement. The dampness isn't just uncomfortable, it's affecting his health. I retreat to my own corner of the basement, a hastily arranged sleeping area behind a bookshelf, and open my banking app. The overtime shifts have paid off. Between my savings and next week's paycheck, I have enough for first and last month's rent on the apartment Brenda mentioned. As I stare at my bank balance that night, I wonder if I should confront my family one last time or simply leave without further discussion. Would demanding respect work, or would a quiet exit make a stronger statement? What would you do when your family has shown they value one child over another? The basement pipes knock and gurgle overhead, as if offering their own opinion on the matter. A week later, the doorbell chimes just as I finish my third double shift of the week. My body aches for sleep, but there's no time. Aunt Cynthia, Uncle Pete, and 3 cousins crowd into the living room, all cooing over Caleb and his bouncer while I slip off my shoes. There she is, Mom announces with exaggerated cheer. We were just about to give everyone the grand tour. Autumn beams bouncing Caleb on her hip. I can't wait to show off his nursery, it's absolutely perfect now. My stomach knots. His nursery, the twins' former bedroom. The family parade moves upstairs, voices rising in approval at the freshly painted walls, the custom shelving Dad installed, the window seat cushions Mom sewed by hand. Never mind that Tessa had begged for shelves for her books for years. Never mind that Milo had asked for a reading nook since he learned to read. It's just what a growing boy needs, Aunt Cynthia declares, running her hand over the premium crib mattress. Uncle Pete nods toward me. Your twins must be very accommodating kids, letting their cousin have such a nice setup. My mouth tastes like copper. They didn't exactly have a choice. Silence falls before Mom jumps in. We're planning to convert the basement into a proper bedroom, eventually. But first, Dad adds, we're redoing the kitchen. Autumn needs a proper workspace for preparing Caleb's organic meals. Later, as relatives fill their plates in the dining room, I slip downstairs to check on Milo. His cough echoes against the concrete walls, a hollow sound that's become his nighttime companion since the move to the basement. Mom? He sits up, clutching his inhaler. Is dinner ready? Almost, buddy. I sit beside him, rubbing his back as another cough rattles his chest. How's the breathing today? He shrugs, a gesture too resigned for an 11-year-old. The same. Dr. Phillips said the dampness isn't helping, I remind him, handing him a glass of water. We have another appointment next week. Upstairs, laughter erupts. More than a week in the basement, and Milo's chronic asthma has worsened. The pediatrician's face had grown serious during our last visit. Environmental factors, he'd said, eyeing me over his glasses. We both knew what that meant. Will Hannah be at school tomorrow? I ask, trying to brighten his mood. His eyes drop to his inhaler. Doesn't matter. I don't invite friends over anymore. Honey, why not? Tessa doesn't either. He pulls his knees to his chest. It's embarrassing. Nobody else lives in their grandparents' basement. The truth of this strikes me like a physical blow. 2 days earlier, I'd overheard Tessa declining a sleepover invitation, making excuses about having too much homework. She'd stopped playing clarinet at home entirely after Dad complained about the noise disturbing Caleb's nap schedule. You should come up for dinner, I tell him, ruffling his hair. He shakes his head. I'll eat down here. Grandma said my coughing upsets Caleb during meals. Something inside me cracks, not breaks, but fractures deep enough that I feel the shift. I kiss his forehead and head back upstairs, stopping halfway when I hear my name. Celine's working herself ragged. Aunt Cynthia says from the dining room, 16-hour shifts can't be sustainable. She needs the money, Mom replies. Divorced nurses don't exactly have golden parachutes. I've been taking every extra shift available, building my savings account in silent determination. 3 more weeks at this pace, and I'll have enough for first and last month's rent plus security deposit on anything with windows. The next morning, my eyes burn from exhaustion as I change IV bags. Brenda, charge nurse for our unit, pauses beside me. Your hands are shaking, she observes quietly. Just tired. She glances around before slipping a folded paper into my pocket. That 3-bedroom on Maple Street? Owner's a friend of my husband. It's coming available next month, but he hasn't listed it yet. Her eyes hold mine. Your kids deserve windows, Celine, she whispers during shift change. The paper burns in my pocket for the rest of my shift. Sunday dinner arrives with more relatives. Aunt Linda, Dad's older sister who speaks without filters, surveys the dining room as we pass serving dishes. "Don't the twins mind living in the basement?" she asks. Fork paused midair. The room goes still. My sister studies her plate. Mom's smile freezes in place. "What Linda means," Dad begins. "They won't be in the basement much longer," I interrupt, my voice calmer than I've ever heard it. "We're moving out next week." Forks clatter against plates. Mom's water glass tips, spilling across the tablecloth. "What do you mean, moving out?" Autumn demands, while Dad's face darkens like a thundercloud. "I've signed a lease. 3 bedrooms. In the twins' school district." The words come easily now, floating on the strange calm that settled over me. "You can't just decide," Mom sputters. "I can, actually." I turn to Aunt Linda. "To answer your question, yes, they mind very much. Milo's asthma has worsened from the dampness. Tessa hasn't invited a friend over because she's embarrassed. They deserve better." "This is about money, isn't it?" Dad says. "We can work something out." "This isn't about money." I place my napkin beside my plate. "It's about respect." Later that evening, Brenda answers my desperate call without hesitation. "Of course you can stay with us until the rental's ready. The guest room is small, but the pull-out couch is comfortable for the kids. I can't ask you to You're not asking. I'm offering." Her voice softens. "What your parents are doing isn't right, Celine." The contrast strikes me, Brenda offering genuine help while my family offers only criticism. She's known me for 3 years. They've known me my entire life. "Thank you," I say, my voice steady in a way it never is when speaking to my parents. For the first time in months, I make decisions without seeking anyone's approval. I call the landlord directly, fill out the application online, arrange for utilities to be connected. Each step feels like removing a weight I've carried so long I'd forgotten it was there. The following Saturday, my family gathers in the living room to plan in advance for what Autumn calls Caleb's half-birthday celebration. Once he is 6 months old, and the merits of decorated cupcakes apparently. While they fuss over which Instagram filter to use for photos, I quietly pack essentials into suitcases, tucking Tessa's clarinet and Milo's favorite books on top. The lease is signed. The keys are in my purse. The first week's stay at Brenda's is arranged. I zip the final suitcase and look up to find the twins watching me from the basement doorway, confusion and something like hope dawning on their faces. "Pack your backpacks," I whisper. "Only what you absolutely need for the next few days." Tessa's eyes widen. Milo's hand clutches his inhaler less tightly. "Are we really leaving?" Tessa asks, her voice barely audible. I nod, surprising myself with a smile that feels foreign on my face. "Yes, tonight." And for the first time in months, my children stand a little straighter, as if already breathing different air. Next day, the dawn streaks through Brenda's guest room curtains as I check my watch. 6:15. Perfect. My parents won't leave for Caleb's pediatrician appointment until 8, but I need this head start. "Mom?" Tessa appears in the doorway, already dressed in her favorite purple sweater. Behind her, Milo clutches his inhaler, eyes wide with uncertainty. "Ready?" I ask, keeping my voice steady. They nod, shoulders squared with a determination that mirrors my own. We've been planning this for 3 days ever since I signed the lease on our new apartment. Brenda's minivan purrs in the driveway as we load the first round of boxes. "Remember," I tell the twins, "just grab essentials today. We'll come back for the rest when they're gone." 30 minutes later, we pull into my parents' empty driveway. The house stands quiet, everyone still asleep. We move with deliberate efficiency, like a well-rehearsed hospital code team. "Take only what matters most," I remind the twins as they descend the basement stairs. I watch them carefully select their treasures, Milo's science fair medals, Tessa's music books, the matching quilts my grandmother made before she died. With each item they rescue from the damp basement, their movements become more confident. "Stand straighter," I want to tell them, but I don't have to. I can see it happening before my eyes, their spines lengthening, chins lifting as they carry their possessions toward freedom. By 7:30, Brenda's minivan is packed with our essentials. I leave my house key on the kitchen counter alongside a note I've rewritten a dozen times, finally reduced to its essential truth. We've found our own place. The twins deserve windows. Later, we're unpacking at the new apartment when my phone begins its persistent buzzing. Mom, Dad, Mom again, Autumn. I silence each call until Tessa touches my arm. Aren't you going to answer, Mom? I set down the box of bathroom supplies. Not yet, honey. We need to focus on settling in first. The voicemails pile up throughout the morning. I listen to them while the twins arrange their books on the shelves Brenda found at a yard sale. Celine, this is completely inappropriate. You're traumatizing your sister by leaving like this. My mother's voice vibrates with indignation. Autumn is beside herself. Caleb can sense the tension. Call us immediately. My father, authoritative as always. I can't believe you'd do this to family. Autumn, the betrayal in her voice almost convincing. Each message strengthens my resolve like steel tempered in fire. Their concern isn't for my children, it's for the disruption to their carefully orchestrated household, the inconvenience of losing their built-in nurse and babysitter. I block their numbers, just temporarily. We need this space to breathe, to remember who we are, without their shadows looming over us. That evening, as the twins sleep in their new rooms, real rooms, with windows that open to let in fresh air, my phone lights up with a message from my supervisor. Charge nurse, position still open. Interested in discussing tomorrow? I stare at the screen, fingers hovering over the keyboard. The promotion would mean better pay, but more responsibility. More demands on my time when the twins need me most. Am I ready to rebuild my career while simultaneously rebuilding my children's sense of security? The next week passes in a blur of activity. Brenda arrives Saturday morning with reinforcements, Joanne from pediatrics and Marcus from the ER, their cars loaded with donations, a small television, a gently used couch, curtains that Joanne's daughter outgrew but matched Tessa's bedspread perfectly. We raided the hospital donation closet, Marcus explains, hauling in a desk for Milo's room. Sometimes families leave perfectly good stuff behind. By Sunday evening, the apartment has transformed. The twins each have their own space, decorated with their favorite colors and interests. The living room holds a comfortable couch facing the television, a small dining table with 4 chairs, and a bookshelf already filling with our collective treasures. Listen, I say to Brenda as we collapse on the couch after everyone leaves. To what? She asks. Exactly, I smile. Tessa's playing her clarinet. The sweet, clear notes of Tessa's practice scales drift from her bedroom, a sound I haven't heard in months. In the kitchen, Milo arranges his rock collection on the windowsill, humming along. I realize with a start that his persistent cough has disappeared, more than a week away from the basement dampness, and he hasn't reached for his inhaler once. My phone buzzes with a text from an unknown number, my Aunt Linda's cell. Your mother told everyone you had a mental breakdown and kidnapped the children. Just wanted you to know the story they're spinning. How are you really? I type back a simple response. We're fine. The twins each have their own bedroom now, with windows. The replies start coming in from extended family members who've apparently been given my aunt's update rather than my parents' version. Support, questions, offers of help. 2 weeks after our departure, a text arrives from my father. We need to talk. May I visit? I set the phone down and watch my children moving freely through our modest apartment, their voices no longer hushed, their shoulders no longer hunched. For the first time in months, they look like themselves again. Whatever comes next, we'll face it together, standing tall in rooms filled with sunlight. 3 days later, the doorbell rings, and I straighten my shoulders before opening the door. My parents and Autumn stand on the welcome mat of my new apartment, their faces arranged in carefully neutral expressions. Mom cradles Caleb against her shoulder, while Dad clutches a large gift bag adorned with cartoon dinosaurs, Milo's favorite. You didn't need to bring gifts, I say, stepping aside to let them in. Mom's smile tightens as she enters. We thought the twins might appreciate something from home. This is their home now, I reply, my voice level. Autumn follows, her usual confident stride replaced by hesitant steps. Her eyes dart around the modest living room, taking in the second-hand furniture and the twins' artwork already displayed on the walls. It's cozy, she offers, the politeness in her voice as unfamiliar as a foreign language. Dad sets the bag down and clears his throat. We've been talking, Celine. We think we might have been hasty with our arrangements. Hasty? The word tastes bitter. The twins can have one of the upstairs bedrooms, Mom says, bouncing Caleb gently when he fusses. We could move some things around. Share a room, you mean? I clarify. Instead of the basement. Dad shifts his weight. It would be better than this situation. This situation where my children have their own rooms with windows? I ask. You're punishing the whole family, Autumn blurts, her facade cracking. The twins miss their cousins. Caleb needs his aunt. I meet her gaze steadily. My children aren't being punished here, and they certainly aren't being used to punish anyone else. The twins emerge from their rooms at the sound of voices, approaching cautiously. Tessa slides her hand into mine while Milo hangs back, watching his grandparents with wary eyes. Would you like to see our new place? I ask them, my voice warming as I address my children. Before anyone can respond, I lead them down the short hallway. I've accepted the charge nurse position at Memorial. I announce over my shoulder. Better hours, significantly better pay. I push open Tessa's door first. Her eyes widen at the transformation. Since this morning, the bookshelf we assembled together now painted lavender to match her bedspread, her clarinet stand positioned by the window where natural light streams in. My friend Brenda's daughter outgrew her desk, I explain, running my hand over the white wooden surface, perfect for homework and practicing music. Next is Milo's room. With its blue walls and the glow-in-the-dark constellation stickers we applied to the ceiling last weekend. His telescope, a birthday gift from last year that had been gathering dust in the basement, stands proudly by his window. There's a park across the street. Milo tells his grandparents, his voice gaining confidence. With a field where we can play soccer. Mom's eyes soften momentarily before she composes herself. This must be expensive. My children aren't bargaining chips, I say quietly. They deserve respect as much as Caleb does. Back in the living room, the twins offer to give the official tour, pride evident in their voices. Milo leads his grandmother to the kitchen, opening the pantry door. Look, we have a shelf just for our snacks, he says, and we don't have to ask permission every time we're hungry. He reaches into his pocket and pulls out his inhaler. And I don't need this anymore since we moved from the basement. Dr. Patterson says my lungs sound better already. The basement wasn't that bad, Mom says automatically, then falters when she sees Milo's expression. Remember when I couldn't stop coughing at night? He asks, his voice small but firm. You said I was doing it for attention. Mom looks away, bouncing Caleb higher on her hip. Tessa steps forward, her clarinet case in hand. We can practice music whenever we want here, she says, assembling the instrument with practiced movements. She plays a flowing sequence of notes, the melody filling the apartment with clear, confident sound. Dad watches, his expression unreadable. Autumn stands awkwardly by the door, her phone clutched in her hand as if preparing for escape. Who's watching Caleb next Tuesday when you have your interview? She asks, suddenly, the question directed at no one in particular. The music stops. Tessa lowers her clarinet, and I see the understanding dawn in her eyes, the realization that her aunt had been counting on my childcare services all along. I'm sure you'll figure something out, I reply, keeping my voice neutral. You're resourceful. As they prepare to leave, I notice the subtle shift in their dynamics. Dad helps Mom with Caleb's diaper bag instead of leaving it to Autumn. Mom asks Autumn if she's called the babysitting service they discussed. Dad pauses at the threshold. Celine, could I speak with you privately before we go? I hesitate, catching the twins exchanging glances. Whatever comes next, I know we've already won the battle that matters most. Give us a minute, I tell the twins, stepping onto the small balcony with my father and closing the door behind us. Through the glass, I watch Milo showing his grandmother the view from our third-floor apartment, not spectacular by any means, but it includes trees and sky instead of concrete walls and water pipes. Whatever my father wants to say, it can't change what we've built here, in this modest apartment that smells of fresh paint instead of mildew. It can't erase the sound of my children laughing, as they arrange their belongings in rooms flooded with sunlight. The battle isn't over. Family wars rarely end with a single decisive victory. But for the first time in months, maybe years, I'm the one setting the terms of engagement. 6 months later, the mortgage papers spread before me on the loan officer's desk, each requiring my signature. 6 months ago, I would have hesitated, called my parents to double-check I was making the right decision. Today, I sign my name with confident strokes. Congratulations, Miss Dalton. You're a homeowner, the loan officer says, sliding the house keys across the desk. I close my fingers around the cool metal, remembering the basement steps where my nursing bag fell that day. The contrast nearly takes my breath away from damp concrete walls to a modest 3-bedroom with windows that catch the morning light. My phone buzzes with a text from Brenda. We still on for housewarming Saturday? I smile, typing back a quick affirmative. At work, the other nurses now come to me for scheduling questions. Last week, doctor. Patel asked for my input on a difficult case, something that would never have happened 6 months ago when I kept my head down, trying to avoid notice. At home that evening, I find Tessa practicing her clarinet in the kitchen, while Milo builds a science project on the dining table. Neither jumps or apologizes when I enter. Instead, Tessa finishes her piece while Milo proudly explains his volcano design. Principal Hayes asked me to join advanced band, Tessa says, wiping her mouthpiece. And Jason invited me to his birthday party next weekend. Mrs. Wilson says my science project might win first place. Milo adds, his cheeks flushed with excitement rather than asthma. Can we paint my room blue this weekend? Real blue. Not that weird grayish color Grandma said was good enough. My phone rings. Mom's number. I answer after the third ring, a deliberate choice rather than my old instinctive grab. We'd like you and the twins to come for Sunday dinner next week, she says, her voice tentative in a way I've never heard before. Your father grilled steaks. Just us? I ask, not bothering to disguise my meaning. Autumn moved back to her condo last month, Mom says. Caleb's nursery is empty now. I take a breath. We'd be happy to come. But we'll need to leave by 7. Tessa has band practice Monday morning. The old Celine would have accepted any invitation on any terms. The new one sets boundaries. That's fine, Mom says. We understand. On Saturday evening this week, my small house fills with voices. Brenda brings a potted fern. For new beginnings, she says. 2 nurses from pediatrics arrive with a welcome mat. My charge nurse brings homemade lasagna. When Brenda raises her glass in a toast to finding family in unexpected places, tears threaten, but they're different from the ones I used to swallow back. Sunday this week, we paint the twins' rooms. Milo's deep blue, Tessa's lavender. Paint speckles their faces as they debate where to hang posters. I started a college fund, I tell them, and I enrolled in online classes for my BSN. You'll be the best nurse practitioner ever, Tessa declares, certainty in her voice. A knock at the door surprises us. Dad stands there, holding a toolbox. Thought you might need help mounting those bookshelves, he says, eyes taking in the paint-splattered scene. He sets the toolbox down. I'm proud of you, Celine. The words hang between us, unfamiliar and fragile. As I accept my father's tentative olive branch, I wonder if some family relationships are worth rebuilding, or if maintaining distance is sometimes healthier. What would you do? Work to repair broken family bonds, or focus on nurturing the new supportive relationships that emerge during your hardest times?